Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with a video on I took the pawn and lost in 11 moves. It is a story from Maurice Ashley, one of the Grandmaster commentators on the 2021 US Championships on the St. Louis Chess Club YouTube channel. He told that story when the commentators were looking at the position in the opening of round 6 in the women's section between women Grandmaster Sharevich and international master Carissa Yip. After 6 moves, Yip sank into thought for more than half an hour on whether to accept a pawn sacrifice from Sharevich or not. Let's have a look at that position. Sharevich was white and Yip was black. It is the 12th of October 2021. d4 from Sharevich, g6, bishop f4, bishop g7, the knight got developed, Yip played the d-pawn, knight to c3, knight d7 and striking in the center. Yip played c5 here and Sharevich answered on move 6 with bishop c4. And that is a pawn sacrifice. You can take on d4. The point is that if you recapture the pawn, then black wins a piece. After knight takes d4, there is e7, e5 with a fork on 2 pieces. And there are lots of very spectacular and complicated lines with black's king getting chased all over the place. And it's that minefield that Carissa Yip had to evaluate when she pondered whether to take on d4 or not. In the end, she decided against it and ducked out of the complications. After bishop c4, she did not take on d4, she played queen a5, not a very good move. Sharevich found the best move, bishop back to d2, not very intuitive playing that bishop twice in the first 7 moves, but obviously there is now a strong discovered attack on the queen in the air. Yip played h6 to take control of the g5 square, and here e4, e5 would have been the best move, the most active move, and white has a great position. In the game, Anna Sharevich played knight d5 instead. We'll never know what would have happened if Yip had taken on d4, but in practice, Carissa Yip's decision worked out well, as she outplayed her opponent and won the game. But this moment of taking on d4 or not brought back a memory for Grandmaster Maurice Ashley. Let's have a listen.
I remember early in my career, I was not yet an international master. I played against someone you knew quite well, Walter Sean Brown.
Absolutely.
And
six-time U.S. champion.
Six-time U.S. champion. And we played a Queen's Indian position. And Walter sacrificed a pawn right in the opening. And I looked at the position and I said, this is a good sacrifice. I mean, after all, I'm playing six-time U.S. champion Walter Brown. It probably is a good sack, but I don't see the reason why this move was being played. And I sat there and I debated whether or not I should take the pawn. And after a long think, like 40 minutes, I've got to trust myself. I can't just trust my opponents like this. Otherwise, I'll never be a really good player. So I took the pawn and I lost in 11 moves.
Darn it. I hate that.
Well, Grandmaster Andy Soltis said right after I was packing up the pieces, he said, I probably would have guessed he had something prepared and not play that. And I stuck to my convictions. I said, if I don't see it, I can't just trust my opponents. And I used that for the rest of my career, and it served me quite well.
And we're going to have a look at that game. White is Walter Brown, as Maurice Ashley explained, 6 times US champion, and black is Maurice Ashley, almost an international master, but not quite yet. Walter Brown had a rating of 25-25 and Ashley 23-55. It is the 19th World Open, played in July 1991, and it is round 5. Brown opened with the d-pawn, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, and we are entering the Queen's Indian. g3, bishop a6, attacking the pawn on c4, and you can defend it with b2, b3, that's the main line, but also very popular is knight b2, d2, to protect the pawn that way. And now a strange looking move, if you see it for the first time, bishop back to b7. It looks very odd, but it is one of the main lines. Black has achieved a small success with white playing knight d2. That knight really wants to be on c3. Now that black has accomplished this, he plays the bishop to the long diagonal. It's one of the exceptions to the rule that you should not play twice with the same piece in the opening. This is all very subtle. Brown played bishop g2, c5, and here e2, e4, and this is the pawn sacrifice Maurice Ashley mentioned. It's not a new move, it had been played at Grandmaster level a number of times before 1991, but apparently Ashley was not aware of this idea, and he went deep into the thinking tank. In the end, he did not see the refutation, so he decided to accept the pawn sacrifice. What he should have done is take on d4, that is the right move. In almost all of the Grandmaster games in my database, black doesn't dare to touch the pawn on e4. Then white castles, d6, and then recapturing on d4. I've found a number of Grandmaster games with this variation. But as mentioned, in this game, after e2, e4, Maurice Ashley took on e4, took the pawn. Knight e5, and now what? The black knight on e4 is pinned and attacked twice. It turns out that there is already no satisfactory defense here for black. What Ashley had planned was knight c3, very creative, attacking white's queen and bishop on g2, but it doesn't work. Ashley must have missed white's next move, which was the very nice move queen d1 to h5, with a checkmate threat on f7. It is the only winning move. It had been played before in an under-26 World Team Championship in Graz in Austria between the players Hentinen and Greenberg 10 years before this game was played. You have to defend against the mate threat, so g6 was Ashley's move, and now queen to h3, and that is the point of white's queen maneuver. The bishop on g2 is now protected. The tactics work in white's favor. White will win material. In my database, the game ends here, with Ashley's resignation. As we heard in the clip, Ashley remembers 30 years later that the game lasted one more move. In another source, I found that the game lasted for 2 more moves. It doesn't really matter. White is winning anyway. Ashley took on g2 and resigned after queen takes g2, as per his own memory. We see that black cannot save his knight on c3 as the rook is hanging in the corner. White is picking up material. My internet source gives knight a4 as played by black, but I think it's unlikely that Ashley played that move. The game probably ended after queen takes g2. Black is busted. The best move according to the engine is knight a6, but then b takes c3 wins a piece and black has no compensation. So after queen takes g2, Maurice Ashley threw in the towel. I hope you liked this video, and that if you did, that you give it the thumbs up, that you subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel, and that you leave a comment. I will read them all and I will reply to them all. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter and on Facebook. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.